Now, we've all heard, some of the frightening maybe NAR statistics, that the average person that gets in the business 5 years later, 87% fail and leave the industry. We've also heard, though, now because of, HGTV and, all these incredible television shows and the reality of the changing in the market, that there are, men and women selling homes today that are making $500,000 a year, $1 million a year. One of my clients, $12 million a year in commissions. So there really is this incredible contrast between what I like to call the rich and the rest. The rich and the rest. And when I got the phone call from, your association saying, would you spend a little time and, help these men and women understand some of the key distinctions between, what causes, say, Josh Rubin, one of my clients in New York City. We have about 4,500 clients in North America. So when I mention my clients, I'm referring to, all these extraordinary men and women we work with, teams, individual agents, 40-year veterans, brand new producers, and, everybody else under the sun. When you look at a guy like Josh Rubin, who, when I spoke to him yesterday, is already at 38 closed and pending transactions with an average sales price of about $1.5 million, he's having an extraordinary year. Well, 5 years ago, I had to remind him that, he was selling 20 homes a year. And what got him to 20 transactions a year simply would never get him to 200 transactions a year, which is his goal for this year. So the question, that many of you will ask is, what does it take? What is it that these men and women do to create these extraordinary levels of performance? And then, of course, one of the questions I hear all the time is, can I do it too? Tom, you don't know me. You don't know my situation. You don't know my background. You don't know where I come from. You don't know what my parents were like. You don't know what kind of education I had. You don't know what kind of school I went to, both positive and negative. And what I can tell you, my friends, is if you've been doing this as long as I've been doing it, the beautiful thing about the real estate industry is it truly accepts all kinds. It absolutely accepts people with little education, massive education. I have a friend of mine who sells about 140 homes a year up in the Pacific Northwest, who was born and raised in Vietnam and came here during the 70s Vietnamese crisis, and today is wildly successful, selling, earning every year, $1.5 million to $1.8 million a year, and has been doing this very consistently at only 40 years old for over a decade. Real estate accepts everyone. The question is, what do the men and women do that succeed wildly? And what do they do differently from the group that, let's face it, fails epically every single day? So, when I got the call to say, hey, could you spend some time on this, I was excited and both challenged, because a typical seminar for us is 3 days long. So when I'm given an hour, it makes me want to talk really fast. I'll just say that. So whether you're listening to this on the playback on the website or you're with me now live, I've prepared a whole series of slides. And the good news is at the end, I'm going to give you a website you can go and just download everything I'm sharing, including a special little gift, something that, as I travel around the country and travel around the world, the one thing I hear from everybody is, gosh, Tom, everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. I just need to get a little more organized if I'm really going to align my behaviors and begin to do all this stuff. So in advance, just know at the very end, there'll be a slide that says go to this website and download for free a $300 manual we put together, about 85 pages, just on helping you get organized. And I know as I say that, many of you on the line are going to say, oh my goodness, I want to get that now and just get off the webinar, and if I just worked on that, I'd be cured. Well, the reality is, I know in all of our surveys, when we ask people, what is the one thing you need to do that would take your business to the next level? A lot of people say prospecting and marketing and open houses and call my database and, improve my skills. And that at the end of the day, when we really go deep, every one of them says the same thing. Gosh, if I just got myself and my business organized, then I can do all those things and more. So that's just in advance our Happy New Year's gift to you. So let's jump in. I asked Melissa, how's the market? But I would ask you, how's the market for you? The the market's different for everybody. I've referenced Josh Rubin yesterday. I talked to Stephen Cohen, one of the top brokers over at Corcoran yesterday in New York City, and we were texting back and forth. I asked him, how's the market? And, he said to me, my goodness, Tom, there's 6 months supply of inventory. It feels like a super tight market, but like anything else, when you have a great house in a great community, you might get 15 or 16 offers. But if you have a house that's not so great, that's maybe on the wrong part of the city or has the wrong view or maybe the wrong floor plan, that sucker could sit there forever. So, sometimes it's a mental market. Sometimes it's just a matter of what the buyers are willing to buy. But the bigger issue is, how is it for you? How's your market? How's your mental market? How's your activity been in October, November, December of last year, January of this year, that would, as Melissa and I were just talking about, activate the spring market, which for many of you, certainly on a bright sunny day like today, you're probably feeling like the spring market's already here. Well, let's keep going. I mentioned just some numbers that I love from the National Association of Realtors. This was from, Mark, I guess we got to get the 2015 numbers, which we'll have sometime in April, but this is the year before. We call it the Great NAR Gap. So, the National Association of Realtors is so wonderful. They survey all of the members, and then they share this incredible data, helping all of us figure out where we stand and what we can do and how we can improve and, where we need to get better. I like to talk about the money side of it because I think it's important, right? We're in business to make money, to take care of our lives and take care of our families and serve our customers and, have a quality of life. Well, looking at the numbers, you see 18% of all agents made less than $10,000. Startingly, only 21% of agents made $1 million. And again, when you look on a national level, these numbers aren't shocking. When I talk about the rich and the rest, we're really talking about that top 7%, agents earning more than $200,000 a year, the top 5%, agents making more than $250,000 a year. But what's fascinating for me, and of course we think they must all be on television, is that only 1% of all agents in the country are making $1 million a year. And what I'd love to challenge every one of you on is, I think you should be next. I think you should be next. And knowing what I know about, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that we work with today in every nook and cranny of the country, they're not special, my friends. What they do every day is special. But these men and women, they're just like you. They put their pants on. They have families, and some are single, and some went to college, and, some didn't go to college. They just learned what it takes to run this business more effectively, and they simply do more of that. So let's talk about it. First question I'd ask you is, if you and I were sitting together one-on-one, I'd ask you, what are your top 3 goals for this year? Take a second and write it down. What are your top 3 goals for this year? What do you most want to achieve? Interestingly enough, I'm in this mindset as you're writing down those goals that 2016 is absolutely going to be the best year ever. The best year ever. And that's a little hashtag. If you're on Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram, post something today and just put 2016 BYE, best year ever. What's fantastic is so many people we're talking to are saying, because I've set those goals, because I've done more of the right things, because I finished last year strong and was, in communication with my past clients in Sphere and doing the marketing I needed to do, I'm already starting this year, absolutely on fire. So I would ask you, what are your top 3 goals? And is one of your goals to make this year your best year ever? And whether you're a brand new agent who just got your license, or like one of my clients who I just spoke to yesterday, she's 77 years old, and I'm not saying that's old because she is very young, 77 years old. She works in La Jolla, California. If you know anything about La Jolla, California, the average sales price is, $1.9 million for a 1-bedroom, no bath, with a peekaboo ocean view out of the bathroom window, one of those kind of funny places. So this year, she's going to sell about 105 homes, and you could figure out very quickly the kind of revenue and income we're talking about. She decided, after 40 years of selling homes, and between you and I, she's been my personal client for going on 17 years, that, she kind of had one of those epiphanies. I've raised my husband and a second one. I've raised my kids. My 5 grandkids are doing great. I want to dance a lot more. I want to sing and have a lot of fun. And I want to sell a lot of real estate and make a lot of money. But it starts with setting that goal. So what are your goals? Now, I have this little slide, and you can see the numbers 40 and 8. Scranton University did an interesting research piece, and they've been doing it for the last 10 years. And I don't think it'd shock any one of us on the line to hear that 40% of all Americans set a New Year's resolution. 40% say, this is the year. I'm going to get in better shape. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to be better to my spouse. I'm going to, have better relationships. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to run that hill. I'm going to make my calls. I'm going to be more consistent. And you could probably already guess what that 8% number is. 8% represents the percentage of people that actually follow through after February 1st. So in the first month, 40% of all Americans, so, 300 million Americans for easy math, we're talking about an enormous population of people that set an intention, that design their life, decide to be better. The frightening part is 60% don't set any goals. In my New York Times bestselling book, Life by Design, I said that most of the country is in what I call a waking coma. They don't have goals. They don't know where they're going. Whatever happens just happens. But men and women like you and I, we're the kind of people that we can write our own paycheck. We can decide how we want our lives to be. We can make the market regardless of what's going on around us. So we're a part of that 40%, but only 8% actually follow through. And I would ask you, sitting here on February, whatever the day is, 24, 25, something, where are you? Are you following through on what you promised yourself? Over New Year's, this year's going to be different. This is what I'm finally going to do. How's your follow through? And if you've been off track, I want to say to you, don't worry about it. Get back on track. And if you're on track, let's have today be like an Intel chip that absolutely speeds up everything you're doing. You can see a little quote that I just posted there. The reason why people fail, most people just fail to align new behaviors and mental toughness to reach their new goals. You might want to maybe even take a screenshot of that one, because at the end of the day, that's it, my friends. We fail to align our new behaviors and our mental toughness for our new goals. So we say, I'm going to start calling my past clients in Sphere, and I'm going to make an hour of calls every single day, right? Well, that's a new behavior. The challenge is, if you don't align that behavior, if you don't define what it means and create structure and some positive and negative consequences for taking action or not taking action, the reality is most people simply don't align their behaviors and don't get their mindset right, so they fail. And then, was it the goal? Was the goal bad? No. Was the activity bad? No. Was the plan bad? Of course not. The reality, though, and I know every one of us on the line, we've all had a situation where we said, that's it, I'm committed, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to make my calls, and because we failed to align our behaviors, we didn't achieve the goal. You might want to write this down because it won't be in the slides. Show me your behaviors, and I can show you your results. Show me your behaviors, and I can show you your results. We got a young man, Jeremy Caddy, from Jacksonville, Florida, who 17 months ago got into the real estate business. For a few of you new agents out there, 17 months ago he got into the business. One weekend, walked into his manager and said, hey, what are you watching? Manager said, oh, this is this guy Tom Ferry. You should check out his show. He went home that night, watched about 25 videos for free on my YouTube channel, called in the next day, became a coaching member, and sold 63 homes his first 12 months in real estate. Now, Melissa and I know that is remarkable. In many cases, it's unheard of. It was shocking, right? Even for myself, who's been so blessed to work with so many amazing people, his coach called me and said, look, I'm looking at the numbers. Here it is right out of the MLS. This is exactly what the young guy did. And here's the reality. Was it because he was new and didn't have any bad habits? Maybe. Was it because his motivation was high and he absolutely wanted to achieve his goal? Probably. Well, I just talked to him in Palm Desert, California at one of our conferences, and I said, so Jeremy, what was the key? And he said, I quickly understood that if I just modeled the behavior of the most successful Tom Ferry coaching clients, I would get a similar result. If I simply modeled the behavior of the most successful agents, I would get a similar result, which really makes me think for a lot of us on the line, as you think about having this year be your best year ever, what are those most important behaviors? You can see there that I put up 3 behaviors that I recommend to every person I talk to. The first one is change your mindset, change your life. Change your mindset, change your life. If you truly desire to be one of the best, we know that, sales, like life, is a mental game, right? 95% of success and failure starts and finishes in your head. And for many of us on the line, I jokingly say, and I don't mean it as an affirmation, but your head is a scary place to be. Don't go there alone. So I would challenge you. I woke up this morning at 5 a.m. It's 7:15 here on the West Coast where I'm working, and I still did my exercise. I still took the time to listen to a TED Talk, an 18-minute motivational something. I wrote down my goals. I did a quick meditation, and then I raced in the car to get over here. The reality is, if every day you're working on your mindset, if every day you're working on strengthening your mental toughness, if every day you're learning something new, you're inspiring yourself, then it really doesn't matter what's happening on Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or, CNN I jokingly call constant negative news. It doesn't matter what's going on there if you're taking responsibility for what's going on inside that brilliant brain of yours. Second one, pretty obvious, healthy body, healthy business. You can just type that into Google and see there are just thousands and thousands and thousands of examples of your success is in direct correlation to your health, right? Getting good rest, eating good food, taking care of yourself, these simple little disciplines. We're not going to talk about that much at all today, not in this short amount of time. We're going to spend our time on that last one, which says #5to-thrive. And if I said to you all, whether you're a 40-year veteran or a brand new agent, this business is all about appointments. Whoever goes on the most listing appointments wins. Whoever meets with the most buyers wins. Sure, they're not all going to sign with you, but it's certainly better than sitting at the office or watching reruns of Oprah. At the end of the day, real estate sales is a contact sport, and whoever spends the most time on appointments absolutely dominates this business. So let's talk about that. We just recently, as you can see there, surveyed 3 groups. 3,274 people participated. A bunch of them were our coaching members. Some were actually competing company coaching members, which we were thrilled to have participate in the survey, and a big chunk of them were just, people that go to our conferences, friends on Facebook, and, they're on our email newsletter list. Then we asked them, Mark, 50, 60 questions, right? We're just going to talk about high level today, the stuff that matters most to you if you want to know what causes the very best people to be the best. We identified 5 primary challenges that these men and women are facing. Now, just so we're on the same page, when we talk about our own coaching members, we have 3 different programs, and the average person's making about $340,000 a year. So, it's a big amount of money. These numbers get slightly skewed because some of these people, obviously a big chunk of them are not our coaching clients, and some are other people's coaching clients, other coaching companies. But let's take a look at the challenges that they all sort of profess to. When we said, what's the biggest challenge you're facing? Hands down, number 1, they said prospecting consistently. And, if you know anything about myself, the word prospecting has a lot of association for people. I'm not referring to a dirty old man sitting in a river in Sacramento, California, trying to, go through dirt to find gold. Today, we know where the gold is, right? And, today we live in a world where, for a few dollars every day, you can generate leads online. You can call your past clients in Sphere. You could do open houses. You could do direct mail. There's about 55 different ways you can generate clients. But what they all said was, maintaining a robust pipeline of opportunity is the real issue. The lack of consistency creates that experience where you do a lot, you make some money, then you're poor again, and you start the cycle over. And you start that cycle over sometimes 3-4 times a year, and that's what they were professing to. Number 2, pretty obvious, time management, major factor for all entrepreneurs, and certainly for busy men and women like you that are on the go, family, life, business, transactions, deals coming together, deals falling apart. We get it. Number 3, maintaining their database. Number 4, mindset and psychology, specifically keeping a positive mental attitude and making sure that their psychology is right. And then number 5, like we talked about earlier with that little free gift for all of you, organization. I'd just be curious, while we sit here on the line, there's no way for us to get feedback instantly without Q&A, but I would just ask you, of those 5, which is the one thing that's maybe holding you back from having 2016 be your best year ever? Do you need to prospect more consistently, whatever that means, email, direct mail, follow up on your Zillow leads? Is it time management, getting control of your time? Is it better organization of your database and better nurturing of those clients for life we all want to develop? Is it, mindset and psychology? Are you having too many down days? Are things beating you up? Or is it just, my goodness, Tom, I'm just so darn unorganized. If I ever got that one right, man, how many homes I could sell. Just curious. Now, you see the number 5, and I'm certainly not referring to the 5 challenges. I want to talk to you specifically about one slide that my team put together, and you can see it there. Prospect more, earn more. So in going through these, 50 questions, people were kind enough to let us know, how many times they followed up on a lead, how many hours they prospected, was it an hour a week, was it, 3 hours a day, how many open houses did you do? Well, you can see the numbers. 5 clearly is the magic number. If you're following up on your leads 5+ times, your conversion is going to be higher. You're going to make more money. If you're prospecting 5+ hours a week, you can see that these men and women are making a fortune. And by the way, again, I want to emphasize, if we've never met before, I'm 45 years old. I'm not talking about cold calling, ladies and gentlemen. I can get on the, my phone and send a tweet and talk to 35,000 people. I could do a Facebook Live mention and talk to 105,000 people. We're not talking cold call, not in 2016, but 5 hours of calling your database, calling your sphere, and maybe calling some targeted prospects or following up on online leads that you generated, right? It's 2016, but 5 hours of being on the phone makes them 305,000 on average. And then I love that last one. 5 open houses a month, 5 open houses a month, making them $358,000 a year. One of our business coaches, Mark, I got a message from Andy C. In case you're wondering who Mark is, he's my associate standing over here to my right, helped me out today. Andy C. made $2 million last year selling homes up in San Jose in the Silicon Valley area, knocks on doors around the new Apple headquarters and all that kind of stuff. He was the number 2 agent in the entire company, and Taro sold to Berkshire Hathaway not too long ago. About 1,400 agents, so, number 2 out of 1,400. When the CEO asked him, Tommy, what was the most important thing you did, Andy? He said, well, I figured out that I averaged 7 open houses, right? 7 open houses every 2 weeks, 14 open houses a month. 14 open houses a month. I thought, interesting. Are you doing enough open houses? Right? Melissa told me the spring market is basically here in the Maryland market. Here we are, at the end of February. We got the leap year. We got an extra day this month, and the spring market is already here. Home prices are up 2%. Inventory less than 5 months of inventory on the market. Homes are selling fast. Are you doing enough, my friends? Are you doing enough? You want to know what the very best people do? You're looking at it. They get a lead. They follow up 5 times. They prospect for 5 hours every single week. They're doing 5+ open houses every single month. It's a contact sport, ladies and gentlemen. It's a contact sport. I didn't say you had to cold call. I just said they're talking to their past clients. They're talking to their sphere. They're doing open houses. They're following up on those leads. Maybe they're buying Realtor.com leads and they're following up on those. There's simply no wrong way to do it. The key is you got to do it. So 5 is the magic number. So here's a question I'd love to ask you. What's one thing you have to do that you don't want to do in your business? Because, my friends, that's where your breakthrough begins. That's where your breakthrough begins. You see, The beautiful thing about being an independent contractor, the beautiful thing about being a real estate professional, the beautiful thing about having your own business is nobody can tell you what to do. And the bummer is, oftentimes, you just don't do anything. And there's a reason why we've got an 87% failure rate. It's an epidemic, my friends. It's startling to me that in 28 years, that number really has never changed. And that's because the reality is most people aren't willing to do the tough stuff. Most people aren't willing to do the tough stuff. You know, to be in better shape, you got to work out, you got to eat right, you got to cut out the bad stuff, you got to exercise more. If you want to have a great relationship, you got to over communicate. You got to, you know, I'm happily married of 23 years. You know, I just start with happy wife is happy life. You know, you got to do more for others than you do for yourself. What's the one thing you have to do that you don't want to do, that when you do it, it's going to create a massive breakthrough in your business? I think the number's that 5. Now, Melissa wanted me to talk about some of the top listing sources. So again, you know, we work with such a large number of people. You know, right in your state, I think just in the state of Maryland, we've got 75, 80 clients, right? Peggy Lynn, Spiker, Chris Spiker, off the top of my mind. I mean, there's just so many amazing agents, and they're an only, I think I'm screwing up how I'm saying that. Sorry, they're on the line because they know I can never say the name of their city right. Here's the top 4 ways that our clients are generating listings. Database for referrals, Geographic Farm being the expert, open houses that attract sellers, and online lead generation, knowing that a third of them need to sell their house in order to buy the next one. So I thought what we would do is we'd go high level and talk, you know, strategy and tactics about each one of these, and then at the very end I'll give you that little slide and you can download all these slides and see all these great marketing pieces and all these samples. So I wouldn't worry about, you know, trying to write out everything I'm saying because there's going to be way too much here. But instead, just, you know, wait for the end and download the slides and you'll be good to go. So let's take a look. You ready? One of my heroes, Peter Drucker, says, all business is innovation and marketing. All business is innovation and marketing. So we're going to talk marketing, and you're going to see that a lot of this might be a little slightly innovative for some of the things you're doing. Some's going to be old school, some's going to be new school. So let's talk about it. My buddy Todd Duncan wrote a wonderful book that all of you should buy today called High Trust Selling. High Trust Selling. In that book, he talked about in the absence of trust, there's only room for tension and objections. Now you say, well, gosh, Tom, you know, we're talking about marketing. Well, right. In the absence of trust, there's only room for tension and objections. If I'm going to be marketing, I want to ask myself, how can I create more trust? You might say, well, gosh, Tom, you know, that's a pretty vanilla word. Why would you say that? Well, the reality is I got invited last September, you know, probably as your association did. About 125 of us ended up at a Google headquarters and up in, you know, Northern California, and Google was kind enough to basically unveil to us as the largest real estate portal on the planet. Forget, you know, Zillow and Realtor and NAR, right, Realtor.com and Truly and everything else, meaning more people go to Google to look for houses than any place on the planet. That's where they find Realtor.com and Zillow and you and others. They shared with us a survey, and I'm going to share it with you, and you might want to take a snapshot of it because it's that important, and you'll get a downloaded copy of the slides. We asked the question, how are consumers selecting agents? How are consumers selecting agents? Now remember, Google has a pretty large amount of data on what you click on and what's important to you and the words that are important to you. They've got more data than most of us could even imagine. So when they publish a report and say, here are the 6 things in order of what's important to customers, I am of the opinion when Google tells us that, like when NAR is kind enough to share such extraordinary data, I use it as a filter. I ask myself, how can I take that information and make my marketing, my messaging, my innovation, everything I'm doing from making calls to direct mail and email to make sure that I'm matching the criteria, the filter of what's most important to customers. Take a look at the filter. Google says what's important when selecting an agent? 49% said the word trust, that they trust you. 15% was experience. 13.2 was a demonstrable ability to negotiate. Personal referral, only 11.8%, which I thought was interesting. Work fast, meaning you followed up on the lead quickly. You know, they reached out and you responded fast. And brand on just brand merit alone, 2.5%. Now, I know for a lot of the owners on the line, we all say, well, inside trust, there's brand, there's the smiling eyes of the agent when they're looking at your profile online. Experience is your track record. It might be your Zillow map of transactions. Demonstratable ability to negotiate could be your reviews. It could be your testimonials. You know, personal referral, we know what that is. The bottom line is, my friends, those 6 words, those 6 phrases, if you will, I ask all my clients to keep them in front of them at all time as they're developing a marketing piece, as they're thinking about their customers. What's the filter that men and women are looking at as they're making their decision to select an agent? You know, I'm old school. Give the customer what they want, and they say yes. Give the customer what they want in their model of the world. And again, ready? In the absence of trust, there's only room for tension and objection. How do we create more trust, right? That's really the question. So if you want listings, let's talk database management first. Ready? 6 actions I want you to take. 6 actions you should take immediately. Number 1, you want to map all of your clients. I think I've actually got, nope, I got a sample coming up of that. This is where you take your entire transaction list of every home you've ever listed, sold, leased, and you upload it into Google Maps or Bing Maps or any one of the other mapping tools. And what it's going to do is it's going to geolocate every home address of every property you've ever been associated with, and it's going to put it on a map, and I'll show you one in a minute. And without a shadow of a doubt, my friends, if you want to really understand and influence your database more effectively, you got to know who they are. You got to know where they're from. It's not on here, but you can see in number 2, you want to append your data into one contact relationship management solution, one CRM. And you see there it says Intellius.com. I recommend Intellius simply from the fact that too many of you have Larry, 562-311-5959 in your phone, but that means you don't have Larry, his email address, his mailing address. You probably don't even know his last name. Well, the good news is with the cell phone or the email, you can type it into Intellius and get all of their data, to append your data, to clean up your data, because your business is your database. You might want to write that down. Your business is your database. So I want to map my clients so I know where they are. I want to append the data to make sure I've got accuracy. I next want to upload them into Facebook, custom audiences, so I can run specific ads to the people I already know at super low cost on the one social media site that they are on an average of 7 hours a day. Now, I know you all say, oh my goodness, 7 hours a day. Yes, that means that app on their phone or their desktop or their iPad is running for an average of 7 hours a day. And since we know today you can make phone calls and a percentage will answer, but boy, when you go on Facebook, they're all there. You want to make sure you're playing there. Number 4, connect on Instagram. It's the fastest growing social media site out there. The number, as my lovely wife said, the number of 45-year-old cougars that are doing selfies has simply gone off the charts. So it's no longer a site for my kids that are 16 and 14. It's now for us, for all of us on the line, and it's hugely popular for real estate. Number 5, call, text, and video. Melissa told me you guys got a conference call coming up with my friends over at BombBomb. They're going to talk to you a lot about the epidemic of facelessness and the importance of video marketing and the impact that's going to make. But number 6 is to start sending emails on a weekly basis. You know, Tuesdays is the day to send it, not for any other reason that Tuesday is recognized as the highest open rate of emails. So if you want to send email marketing and you want people to actually read your stuff, send it on Tuesdays. Pretty simple. By the way, I gave you a little slide here. You're going to enjoy looking at this. You know, my friends over at Marketing Charts basically said, here is the list of the most effective and the most difficult digital marketing tactics. And as you can see, the most effective, least difficult marketing channel is email. The most effective, least difficult marketing channel today is email. So I strongly recommend you start a great email campaign if you don't already have one in place. 4 questions you want to ask every customer. Have you had any thoughts of selling? Are you curious about the new value of your home? At what price would you become a seller? Gosh, do you know anybody who's had any thoughts of selling? Now, you don't want to just rattle off all 4, but those 4 questions should be memorized. And quite honestly, every person you run into, gosh, you had any thoughts of selling? I mean, we always think about it, but, we love our home, and where would we go? Well, there's lots of buyers in the marketplace and not many nice homes on the market. I'm just curious, at what price would you become a seller? At what price would you become a seller? Well, if you can get me $375, man, we'd be off to Florida. Bam, you got an opportunity. Sales is the ability to ask questions, my friends. It's the ability to do the right activities, be on the phone for 5 hours a week, do those 5+ open houses a month, follow up on every lead 5 times, and ask the right questions. Let's keep going. Geographic Farm. I got to take a quick sip of water, everybody. Hold on. In case you're wondering if we're recording this live, Geographic Farming. For a lot of us out there, especially the veterans on the line, you don't even want me to talk about this because it's the secret weapon. All the best agents know that direct mail today is absolutely killing it. It almost reminds me of like 1995. It's that good. It's so unbelievable because so many people went to email marketing and social media marketing that they stopped doing one of the most basic tried and true methods to get come list me calls, and that's working a targeted community and becoming that neighborhood expert. So let's talk about it. Again, remember the importance of what Google says. Here's your domination plan to get started. You want to map your track record in your database. So the first thing is, where do you already sell houses? Let's make sure that if I'm selecting a farm, that I can go to a place where I already have some level of success and market that success. I always want to ask myself, where's the annual turnover higher than 6%? Because you want to fish where the fish are. How many homes can you effectively manage? 200, 500, 72. One of my clients, 71,000. And what's your budget? Is it going to be sweat equity, knocking on doors and handing out flyers, or check equity? I'm going to pay somebody else to do the mailers for me. But the most important thing, and you can see it there in blue, is the one thing that I see most people failing at. We too often in life, we want to plant seeds and harvest. We want to plant seeds and harvest. Well, when was the last time anything in your life worked where you planted the seed and the next day you had fruit, the next day you had food? No, you've got to plant seeds, you got to cultivate, you got to nurture, and then you harvest, and then you start over and you continue to plant seeds and cultivate and nurture and harvest. So not to give you such a farming metaphorical example, but for some of the newer people out there, I want to be very clear. This is one of those 6-month initiatives to take over the world, not send a mailer and suddenly be successful, right? That's not how it works. So there's a good example of mapping your client base. This is one of our coaching clients who is the #1 agent in Hoboken, New Jersey, just across the, the waterway there from New York City. Sells a lot of houses at, $500,000 average sales price, Jill Biggs, remarkable agent. But again, you get a sense of what that map could look like. Purchase, list, purchase and sold, her contact info, pretty short and sweet, but that's a mailer that she sends out every month, my friends. Very powerful. Now, campaigns to dominate your farm, take a look down that list because, like everything, it's not just one thing. It's knowing the marketplace, right? Knowing your customers, knowing what's important to them and what's in their model of the world. So it could be a combination of direct mail. It could be door knocking or door drops, which certainly doesn't work in New York City and doesn't work in Miami or San Francisco. But maybe in your marketplace when the snow's not on the ground and the weather's nice, it could be a good idea. Mega open houses, which we'll talk about. Facebook advertising, which is absolutely the secret weapon. Controlling the footprint of Zillow, Realtor, Trulia. Working the Zillow Make Me Moves, videos of the community, expired listings old and new, community functions, and notice of defaults. The bottom line is it's a multi-channel campaign, and the goal is that the people that are in that community always are saying the same thing. Gosh, I see Melissa everywhere. I mean, I go on Facebook, there she is. I go on Google, there she is. I was on Zillow, there she is. She knocked on my door. I get 2 mailers a month. You know, I saw her at an open house. She must be the area expert. That's the game. Now, that's probably the worst marketing piece I've ever seen that was actually sent to my house. But you can just take a look at that. That's a typical real estate agent's piece. And I blocked out their face and their contact information in fairness. But, you know, anytime you write the word, honestly, we have buyers, need home in your Irvine Terrace neighborhood, that's about as bad as it gets. 10 commitments to you. I think she was watching Charleston Heston, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning when she woke up in a panic because she hadn't done any mailers for a while. And there was Charlton Heston saying, here are the 10 commandments. Because if you read these, they are ridiculous at best. Now, remember what Google said? Trust, experience, track record. Think about that piece, right, compared to this piece. Trust, experience, track record, right? Works fast, personal referral. My goodness, she sold every house in the darn town. You know, everybody's going to know who this gal is. Versus this. You know, she actually puts on there honesty, integrity, and professionalism. I don't know about you, my friends, but when you have to tell people you have honesty and integrity, there's a pretty good chance that you don't, right? Or you've been burned repeatedly by people and you're a little bitter. You with me on this? Bad example. Here's a good piece, right? Clean, simple, headline, knowledge is power, master your home's worth at your website. What's your home worth? This is just sample direct mail pieces. Find out at yourwebsite.com. The future looks bright for home prices. We're up 2% so far year over year. Find out what your home's worth for free at yourwebsite.com, right? Yourname.com. And my all-time favorite one, a better version of a just sold card, because just sold's a horrible headline, and it's gone. 5905 Claremont Street, here's the price. Find out what your home's worth at this price, right? Go to this site. Clean and simple, my friends, clean and simple. That's a really good example of a seller valuation site from a company called Geographic Farming.com. Geographicfarm.com. Certainly should check them out. I'm not going to bore you with this, but there's a bunch of analytical operators on the line that always want to know what the numbers are. I'm a numbers guy. I like the numbers. 500 homes in your farm with an average sales price of $500,000 at 6% turnover is $30 million in sales, is $450,000 to $900,000 in commissions. So we know that the total addressable market is there. You're marketing 2 mailers a month, right? Doing it right, 12 times a month, $11,000. Whoa, that seems like a lot. 1 listing sold is $15,000 based upon these numbers. 7 listings sold is $105,000. My client Josh Rubin sends 71,000 pieces a month. That's a monster number. He didn't start with that. He started at like 268. When people say, well, why do you do so much? He said, well, let me tell you, I spend $350,000 a year on direct mail, but I made $4 million in commissions from doing it. That's why I do it. It's called being smart in business and tracking and measuring and knowing your return on investment. So think about it for you in terms of Geographic Farm. Now, geographicfarm.com, little reminder, check those guys out. Mega open houses, Mark, I want to be mindful of time. Right. The real game here for them is, I would even say they should go to my YouTube channel and watch the entire, one of the most popular videos we've ever done just on open houses. So make a little side note, my friends. I want to talk about one last one, but we could spend days on open houses. We know we got to do 5 a month.
We'll put the link on there.
We'll put the link on the association Facebook page. Outstanding. So I wanted to get to this slide, and then we'll wrap it up, because I know we want to do some Q&A. So the question I get, all the time is, Tom, what creates a breakthrough? What creates a breakthrough? Like, okay, I've heard you talk here for, 55 minutes, and, you're going to give me this great, 80-page report to become more organized, and you're going to give me all these slides so I can, take all these ideas. But what creates a breakthrough? And the thing that I want you to get when you look at these 2 slides is breakthroughs are little things. They're little things done right. Breakthroughs don't come from these big, monstrous, crazy ideas. They come from doing little things right every day. Little things like follow up on your leads 5 times. Little things like an hour of prospecting 5 days a week. Little things like doing 5 open houses a month over and over and over. Those little things add up to create these enormous breakthroughs. So I always love the example of Vimeo versus YouTube. You know, everyone knows YouTube, and maybe you know Vimeo, but Vimeo was started a year before. They do the same exact thing. They both allow you to upload videos and display videos. And what's interesting is, you know, today Vimeo gets 135 million visitors a month, which is pretty ginormous. But when you look down below to YouTube, that started a year later doing the same exact thing. The same exact thing. This is like 2 agents in one office. One starts in 2004, one starts in 2005, and they both do the same thing. They both work for the same company. They both got the same commission split, the same plan. They went to the same school. One does, you know, billions and billions of dollars in revenue, and one is barely eking by. What's the difference? What is the difference, my friends? It's always very simple. The $1.65 billion decision that YouTube made is they have the word share 9 times on every page versus Vimeo's 1 time. You see, the little things don't mean a little. They mean a lot. A lot, my friends. 5 contacts after every lead. 5 hours of power every week. 5 open houses. You write that down and you say, that's no big deal, right? It's almost too small. The little things don't mean a little. The little things mean a lot. They mean a lot. So what 3 actions are you going to take? And then Mark will go to a little Q&A, so I don't know if you're teeing that up. What 3 actions do you want to take? What 3 actions? I talked to you kind of high level pretty fast here, and I told you in advance I could spend 3 days with you, and that's more normal for me. But I gave you certainly a bunch to think about. What 3 actions do you want to take? And then, Mark, they go to tomferry.com/success.
Yes, to get the slides. And
okay, that's where the slides will be, and that's where you're going to get that systems manual. We call it the CEO Agents Manual. You'll also have, you know, access to some offers and things that we do as a company if you want to, you know, test drive coaching or you want to look at events. I'm sure it'll all be there because you're on tomferry.com, but that's where you're going to go to download the slides and download that free manual, which I highly recommend you do, and you read it all tonight. So, Mark, got a question for me? Because I sure we got about 5 minutes.
We don't have any yet, but they can type them in the question box, and then we'll.
Great.
So if they want to just put those in the.
All right. So
control panel, they can type them in, and.
If you can see there's a control panel. All you have to do, if you want to ask a question, if I've got you, you know, full and you got all kinds of thoughts to think about and you don't have any questions, that's fine. But if you got questions, I certainly want to take the time to answer a few. While you're thinking about that, or hopefully going to tomferry.com/success to download that stuff, I'll tell you that at the end of the day, the question mark that I probably get the most about this 5 conversation is, you know, what do I need to do to prepare, right? Who should I call first? I get that all the time. So, you know, as you're sitting here formulating your own question, and if there's no questions, it's totally fine. It just means we get to save a little time. The question I get the most, you know, who should I call first? How do I get it organized? So think about it like this. The first thing I would say to you is you have your database of customers, right? The 100, 200 people that are either in your phone or, you know, however you have them organized, and we certainly want to get them into a lead management system or some kind of CRM. The bottom line is you want to start there, but the mistake that everybody makes is you call the same darn people that you always call. And I'm going to tell you, my friends, you should write this down. All the money, all the referrals, all the opportunities, all the new potential appointments are in the people you haven't reached out to. So I would challenge you to call everybody in your database that you haven't talked to. And maybe it could just be something as simple as, you know, hey, Mark, Tom Ferry, Banana Real Estate. Gosh, we haven't talked in a while. I wanted to circle back and just see how you're doing, how your new year's starting, and he's going to say, oh gosh, Tom, I'm doing great. How about you? I'm doing wonderful. The market's really heating up. Spring is already happening around here in terms of the real estate market, but the challenge we have is there's just no nice homes on the market. And I was just curious, do you know anyone who's had any thoughts of selling? And I would just go right there. So call the people you haven't talked to before you call the ones you already talked to. Mark?
Tom, we have 4 questions.
Okay, we got 4 questions coming through.
First question is, do you have a recommendation of anything they can read, get access to for a powerful morning routine? And the importance of a powerful morning routine.
Sure. So,
Miracle Morning?
Yeah, I was thinking Miracle Morning is a wonderful little book. At the end of the day, your morning routine is how you start your day, and how you start your day dictates or determines the kind of day you're going to have. I don't buy into the, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed mentality. I'm of the opinion, doesn't matter what side of the bed you woke up on or you woke up, it's a blessing. You're alive. Now go do something special. So my recommendations are really 3 or 4 things. Number 1, you got to get some movement and you got to get breath going, right? So whether that is just deep breathing exercises, or it is going for a run, going for a hike, walking the dog, you got to get some deep breath going, because that'll stimulate the mind, it'll oxygenate your brain, and it'll get you kind of on your A game very quickly. Every smoker knows this, because what you're really doing is inhaling deeply. I don't recommend smoking, but all smokers know that's the real sensation that you get. Don't start smoking, please, anybody out there, please, please, please. But deep breath. Second thing is to get a little grateful. What are you grateful for? What do you feel good about? Who are you proud of? Like starting your day in a sense of gratitude versus, CNN. And then the last thing is to rewrite your top 3 goals every day. So if you did that, you could do it in probably 5 or 6 minutes, just a few deep breath exercises. Breathe in, breathe out 10 times. Do it really deep. Oxygenate the mind, oxygenate the body. Do it 3 times. It'll take you 4 minutes. Then write down what are you grateful for, and then rewrite your top 3 goals, and you're off to the races. What's question 2?
Question 2 is best starting place for brand new agents. New in the business, getting started, where do I start?
Not to be a shameless self-promoter, I would go to tomferry.com, and then I would click on the button that probably has a snowflake on it called Your Best Year Ever, where you would have a chance to download our entire business plan, our marketing plan, all of our sales scripts and dialogues, a listing presentation, buyer presentation, scripts for your, calling your sphere, a sphere builder list. There's so much good stuff inside there. And then I would, because it's all for free, so I'd go there. Then, again, I would go right to YouTube. I would type in the Tom Ferry Show. We're about 55 in. Arguably one of the, probably, for a new agent, the things that really stand out, the show we did, Why Most New Agents Fail, it's been watched 150,000 times in the last year. So it's pretty popular, and it's really hard-hitting, long, 15, 20 minutes, very tactical, why they fail and what you should do about it. And then I also think, Mark, the 6 biggest mistakes agents make, that's a series. It's literally a training series I put together for free on YouTube.
Powerful.
It's probably had, several 100,000 views itself. So as a brand new agent, it's about being resourceful. The resources are everywhere. Whether you use my stuff or somebody else's stuff, I don't care. It's free, right? We just put it out there. But it's about being resourceful. It's about taking the information and taking action. It's not about the information. If information was enough, Mark, if information was enough, we would hand every alcoholic in the world an audio CD, and that would be like information on why they shouldn't drink. We'd hand them the CD, and they'd all stop being alcoholics.
Right.
So we know that information isn't enough. It is your ability to be in action. It is your ability to align your behaviors that makes you great. So for all the new agents, go download all the stuff for free. Watch all those videos for free. It's all there, but understand, information isn't enough. You've got to align your behaviors.
Take action.
Got to take action.
So Victoria's asking, it's an interesting question. Victoria's asking, do you have advice for a part-time agent?
So Victoria asked, do you have advice for a part-time agent? Victoria, I think the same advice for a part-time agent is the same advice for the new agent, is the same advice for, quite honestly, about half the NAR membership, because just by their transactions and productivity, they are by definition part-time, selling 3 or 4 homes a year. So I don't mean that in any condescending way at all. You, like my sister-in-law, who is divorced and has 2 kids and sells 18 homes a year and is the soccer mom and has to, drop off and pick up and be home for homework, and, she is an extraordinary mother, but essentially sells houses, 4 days a week from 9:30 in the morning until 2:30, and then a little bit on the weekends. You would call her part-time. It's about being resourceful in the limited, finite amount of time that you have, and utilizing all of your company resources. Your company has a CRM, your company has a transaction management solution, your company has marketing capabilities. So the mistake is trying to reinvent all of the wheel, reinvent all of the business, and only have a finite amount of time. That would be the mistake. Instead, use your company's resources. Use the resources of the Maryland Association of Realtors. They've got everything you need and then some. So the only thing you're doing as a part-timer, and part-time just meaning you're not spending the time that a full-time agent is spending, should only be spent doing 3 things: prospecting, following up, and going on appointments. Prospecting, following up, and going on appointments. Those are the only 3 billable hours activities that a real estate professional can do. Anything else you're doing, right, can be delegated, could be sent out to somebody else, or the Maryland Association of Realtors already has, so you shouldn't be reinventing the wheel. That's all I got, Mark.
And that's all the questions we have.
All right, and it's 7:59, excuse me, here in the West. So listen, everybody, if I've never had a chance to work with you, thank you so much for listening, whether you're listening now or on the playback on the website. Thanks to the Maryland Association of Realtors. Melissa, we appreciate you and all that you do, and keep up the great work. Keep supporting this extraordinary membership. And I wish all of you an extraordinary 2016, your best year ever. God bless. Take care, everybody. Talk soon.